2004 was the next Megadeth album that was released, but this was one that was surrounded and shrouded by many questions and much uncertainty. Hello, my name is coverkillernation, and I enjoy videos about French toast. And I'm here to talk to you guys about The System Has Failed by Megadeth. At this point in their career, Megadeth had experienced all of the heights of the thrash metal dominance and creating one of the most perfect albums of all time in Rust in Peace, to the lows of making albums that many people viewed as way too commercial, either that as just a total dissolution of their previous sound. However, in 2002, the band was about to be put on the brink of extinction. In 2002, in fact early in 2002, Dave Mustaine was admitted to the hospital to get a kidney stone replaced, ended up triggering a relapse with the pain medication that he was administering, which caused him to check into rehab. While in rehab, he ended up falling asleep on a chair with his arm dangled over, causing a very freak condition, a nerve condition, that caused him to have to relearn how to play the guitar step by step by step, little by little by little. And in this point, Megadeth was disbanded. He actually disbanded the band because there was many indications that there maybe was not going to be a possibility for him to continue on. Now, the frontman was able to gradually reteach himself the guitar, and it was said that it was his left hand that really gave him the most trouble, but they were able to do that. The System Has Failed was originally penned to be Dave Mustaine's solo release, his first solo release, his debut. But due to contractual obligations, once he was able to get everything back together, he reassembled a band of, well, people that you probably were not used to seeing in a band such as Megadeth. In fact, the lineup did not resemble very much at all the lineup that you saw for the previous album. And they started recording The System Has Failed. Now, The System Has Failed is basically what The World Needs a Hero needed to be. The World Needs a Hero, what a lot of people and a lot of fans were expecting and were kind of disappointed in, was this return to thrash, this return to the roots that was really being proclaimed. And as Dave Mustaine had even said, at the latter stages of the recording and after the release of The World Needs a Hero, it was kind of like righting the ship, kind of steering it back into the right direction. The System Has Failed was the ship perfectly in line to where it needed to be. This is a thrash fest. Now, it's not necessarily a thrash fest in the same vein as a Rust in Peace or any of the albums previous to that. This is a more modern age thrash fest where they're able to be both socially conscious, as they've been able to do multiple times before, but also incorporate a lot of the Megadeth trademarks that they really had enabled and enacted throughout the first part of their career. Songs such as Blackmail the Universe, Die Dead Enough, Kick the Chair, you really saw the strength that they were able to have once again as a dual guitar unit, and that dueling solo idea started to really re-show itself a lot more, as opposed to just in choice little areas, which is what we were getting, or not at all, in the releases previous to this one. Also, with songs such as The Scorpion, they showed their ability to still create very, very awesome songs that were able to get the job done without incorporating this idea on a constant basis. In fact, they were able to just space it out, use atmosphere, use the building of an idea in order to create just a really cool and really pumping song, one that I really would love to see live a lot more. You know, it's something that you're not going to hear live very often, considering they focus a lot on the classic material while blending in some of the newer stuff as well. Now, there's something else that Megadeth was able to do for us, a gift that Dave Mustaine gave to us right after the release of this album starting in 2005, and that was the birth of Gigantour. And The System Has Failed was the album, along with the Greatest Hits album that they released in order to kind of complete contractual obligations to really back this Gigantour with the material that they were going to present. And I still remember the very first Gigantour. I can remember being down in Pittsburgh, and they performed with a fantastic cast of musicians such as Symphony X, such as Fear Factory, such as Dream Theater, etc., etc. And it was just a fantastic show, a great experience, and that's, in fact, where I got the opportunity to meet the band. And this is an album that was perfect for a tour such as this one, because we were at a high point in social awareness, and there was a real uncertainty that was going along America. Shut the fuck up. And it was one of those things where, that's the government. The government's trying to censor what I'm about to say. And Dave Mustaine had crafted an album lyrically as well as musically that was extremely aware of all of the things that were going on within the world that surrounded, and it was even present in the cover. If you notice the cover of The System Has Failed, you can immediately tell where this is going to be an album that's going to be very political. It's going to have a lot of awareness to it as far as the social concerns of not only America, but also the world, and this would be a trend that would continue. This is an album that also sparked a real revitalization amongst their fans. A lot of people were very pleased with this album, and they felt that this kind of turned the ship not only around, but also got it right back to where it was not only supposed to go, but where it has been before. And this is the album where many diehards are going to cite as the moment where they kind of rekindle their interest after losing it throughout the latter part of the 1990s. This is also another point where we're starting to get closer and closer to the latter part of the 2000s and the Guitar Hero generation. You're going to notice that once the Guitar Hero generation really begun to make its impact a few years after this, they would cite back to the more modern, the more current albums, even though the songs that were present on the Guitar Hero tracks initially were songs such as Hangar 18 off of Rust in Peace. This is an album that was very commercially successful because of that. However, at the same time, it's also an album that does a lot more than that. Commercial success was not really the modus operandi specifically for this record. Instead, it was to write the course and make a kick-ass thrash record that really showed to the world, showed to all the people that maybe watched Some Kind of Monster and saw how Dave Mustaine was reflected. Maybe listened to the last couple Megadeth records with a little bit of a scornful face, or just, you know, one of those looks of what the fuck, and say, hey, listen, we're still who we are. And this is also something that Dave was able to do for himself. He was able to reteach himself how to play guitar after this freak accident. He was going through all of these medical situations where he almost thought this was the end, and in fact did end Megadeth for a while, which to be perfectly honest, on a sidebar, also created some controversy amongst him and the other Dave in the band, Dave Ellefson. But he was able to show that throughout all of that, the band was able to be reassembled, and they were able to make easily the comeback album of the year for the year 2004. Now that Megadeth has the ship sort of righted, so to speak, were they going to be able to continue on this pathway? Were they going to be able to, for example, follow up a Peace Sells with a So Far So Good, or if So Far So Good with a Rust in Peace? What was the next album going to be hold? Were we going to see more evolution toward what they had accomplished with The System Has Failed? Or were they just going to simply revert back to an amalgamation of what they had done on that album and what they had done previously? It was time to find out. After the many years of the Gigantour, there was another album that was going to be penned. One that actually we know pretty well. Stay tuned and find out what that is.